Hey, it's the Chief Bonding with Board Games and RPGs. And today we're going to talk a lot about my RPG revival, because I was there back in the 80s. And we'll talk a little bit about current events. We'll talk a little bit about Assault and Charioteer. We'll talk about Knock, a wonderful little magazine pulp thing. I'm sure the Merry Mushman wouldn't like that. But we'll also chat about why we're back in my office. So while we're killing time waiting to see if somebody shows up, because I know the notifications have just gone out, my PC, my laptop that I simply use to run my lives on, quit working. I won't go into that. I just need to get it fixed. And then I tried to use a Chromebook, which was working great, but as many fans pointed out, it wasn't handling the throughput of my 1080p camera, so it looked terrible. It was good for a pinch hit on some lives that came up. Some of you guys saw my Butterfield. A lot of people saw that. Boy, does that look great, the Pandora game. Away team, Voyage of the Pandora. And we'll come back to what seems to be, which is what I love with board games and role playing, is there's this meshing and there's always this combining of both mechanisms and genres. And I think it's going to be a fun time to be a board gamer as well, because you're going to get some more of those role play type elements that were there way back in Ambush, that were there in a little bit for B-17 Queen of the Skies. You could get a guy that would be a better bombardier, a better pilot, a better gunner. So you had these small little elements, but you became attached to the fictional people. So I think that's going to continue as well. So one thing I'm working on, we'll talk board game wise. Well, you can kind of see it back there, although it's not lit very well. I will put a little light on it. Hold on. So you can see, oh, that's a terrible blue light. Battle. Assault, sorry. What we've got is the expansion. Let me just grab it. That was terrible with the lighting. So now you can see a little bit better. This is the expansion that brings in tactical air and artillery support. So I'm going to sit down at the table. I had to work weekends this last week. That's when I was going to do it. And I'm going to pull out my base game of Assault, which is Tactical World War II, Wolfgang Klein. And I'm going to just simply show how these cards and offboard artillery, mortars, air power, how they work. Real simple, nothing in depth, not a full playthrough, but I want to get the cards on the table and units on the table and just show how they work and function. And it's real nice for Assault because you also get to see how the system is designed from the get-go to just pleasantly expand as you go. So the other thing here as well is that I'm trying, just because I kind of did this on the fly, I was just testing it out. So I'm using the internal mic for my Mac and the internal camera. They're 1080p. I don't know how the sound is. I still have my microphones. I still have my special Logitech cameras and whatnot. But I wanted to just try this from the office because I think this is where I will probably start doing more of my lives from, rather than from the bar that you normally see. I think it'll just be easier. I had a lot of apparatus that had to be set up all the time in the bar area. And we've been doing a lot of gaming, in-person gaming. We get groups over here. Some of you saw that. You can see the chariots. Where is it? If I do it this way, boom, charioteer. Beat Cafe is in afternoon. The sound is great. Awesome. Mac does good with that. I need to figure out how I can even put my earbuds in and sync them in. But as long as sound is good, all is good. So we had a big game event. We like to have folks over. It's casual gamers. We always usually end with a big game of Werewolf. But after that was done, several people circled back to the table and were looking at Charioteer. I had taught a 6-player group who had never played before how to play. They enjoyed it, and it was funny because they were mentioning how some wanted to play it again. Myself and another person didn't get a chance to play it at all, and they were talking about, hey, next time we come over, we got to play. And then one of the folks says, "Why don't we do it now?" I was like, okay. So we sat down and played it 5, and I got to jump in on that one. And if you go see my follow-up 5, 6-player review, you'll see 2 photos from those playthroughs. We had a great time. I did not come close to winning either time. But what was fun is the mechanics of Charioteer are very straightforward and easy. You're melding cards from your hand. You have 4 different types of moves: cornering, sprinting, damaging other players or attacking them, and then recovering, minimizing or fixing some of your own damage. And in that, you're playing cards that meld to match both a numerical number that's in the center of the shape and a type of shape. So if I wanted to sprint and there was the number 6, I could play up to 3 cards and meld those together and play them. And we all play simultaneously, and then you just do your moves around the board. So very fun. They all wanted to play it again. And my spouse had asked for me to leave it up on the table so we could play it. So there we go. Afternoon. The sound is great. Thank you, Beat Cafe. Anybody else has comments or questions, throw them in and I'll highlight you and bring you up on the board here. Also in the background, you'll see from my set, you can see my original Chewbacca Boba Fett. I've got a stormtrooper somewhere who didn't weather the age as well, and Han Solo somewhere. And my original case of Star Wars figures is inside there, and my Matchbox cards. Yes, I've held on to them. I don't remember where the tractors came from over here. They might have been my dad's. I don't know. And also over my shoulder now, you can see Blade Runner. So this is what I'm currently running solo plays on. Got my character hack. What are we at? 9 episodes. And it's been, so Free League puts this out. The design here is about delving into the psyche of whoever you're playing. And the character sheet sets you up for that with key memories and things. And it's been very interesting because using the Mythic emulator with my role plays, I don't know what's going on. Yet you use logic in the coherent story that's setting itself up. We had a very interesting fight that took place with Hack and 3 thugs and his benefactor, a businessman, and a sap that Hack carries with him. He's a little bit older. He's not as much of a fighter, so he cheats. That's right, he cheats. Also drinks a little bit too much. That's not my problem. I just sip. So, but part of what we're going to talk about is my role-playing game revival. So I played a little bit back in the 80s. I remember I was at like a week-long church camp with the family, and there was a kid a couple years older than me, and he introduced D&D. And I've always had a great imagination. Just quite honestly, I got in trouble in 6th grade math because I was daydreaming all the time. Probably still a problem. So, but that game was great. Ran it. We had a great epic fight. A lot of times it was, we spent half the time making the character, which is just as much fun, part of the play. And then when I got a little older, Twilight 2000, the first edition, came out. And I always leaned toward that apocalyptic military setting over fantasy. So it was a natural, move in. We had a group that got together and played several times, and then it kind of just fell apart. I think it just fell apart as we got older in high school. And the idea that you're a loose group, we were just trying to get back home. We were trying to find a way to get to the States, which of course would require boat travel and moving all the way, well, either north or getting way, way west, so you could catch a ship back to the States. But in that one, the biggest thing I remember, although it was fun, we spent a ton of time just trying to locate fuel or make it with our stills so that we could keep our M113 going. that did get a little boring, but that was fun. I remember we always were getting into trouble because we were just making more fuel. So we always had to stop, camp, get into trouble, uh, get some fuel, go a little further. But their new fourth edition came out from Free League out of Sweden. And that, well, two things are responsible for my revival. First, my son, who likes some board games, started gravitating towards role playing, even created his own like mythical game world, and then wanted to play it but didn't know how. And I'd picked up Fate Core rules just for fun to kind of read it. And I showed it to him, and he said, "Yeah, we can use this." And so we created this system, and he'd have a buddy of his come over, and I'd run him through, and it worked really well. And so he wanted to do more of that. And then I saw the Kickstarter from Free League for fourth edition Twilight 2000, and all that nostalgia came back. And I thought, I've got to do this. And I picked it up thinking, I don't know if I'm going to play. And then I had a buddy of mine, he's since retired, but a sergeant on the police department that was a huge role player, tons and tons of books, and would go to Gen Con and sometimes even teach games for different publishers and things, and great to talk to. And he'd talked about some of the cool things that were out there, like Me, Myself, and Die, Trevor Duvall's show. And I started watching that and saw his use of the Mythic emulator system, which allowed you to solo play. And I thought, holy moly, I hadn't even thought of solo play. And started running a group here at my house using Fate Core. My son had an idea for a whole nother setting of time travel where you go back in time, and your whole job as the group is you're part of the what is it called, the TTP, which is what is it, the time hmm, T, TPA, the Time Protection Agency. We sit out of time, and we have the ability with our massive computers to know what the actual timeline true stream is. And when a divergence is picked up, TPA members are sent back in time in order to put things right. So think a little bit of Quantum Leap, um, with the idea that when the team goes back, they're usually close, but not right where I'll just tell you right now, someone saved Lincoln. And the whole kind of twist here is, if the TPA team goes back and they have to make sure the timeline stays true, they have to make sure Lincoln is assassinated. I already have one player that keeps like talking with the group, and I'm not telling them what to do, because the folks that are messing with the time stream are called antis or anti-TPAs. And rumor is that a lot of them were TPA agents that just couldn't do it anymore. And they had the power. And so somebody has saved Lincoln, and this crew that's going back has to make sure he dies. And I got one player that keeps talking every session. They're getting close. They're just getting into DC after a harrowing trip to get there. And he keeps saying, I like Lincoln. I don't, why should we make sure he gets killed? I go, it's worse than that. You might have to do the killing. And he's like, what? It was like he got viscerally ill just at the subject. And so I could see there's a struggle in there. That's what I was looking for. There's this internal struggle. Now you could pop around in all kinds of different time frames and say, hey, this is what's changed. I'm able to get source material that gives me some details to layer them in, and then let them run. And, hey, here's 3 different options. Here's what you can do. But it's up to these guys to figure it out. Are they just going to work behind the scenes to facilitate Booth's assassination? Or, and then some of them are not cross purposes, but one guy's kind of all about lore. So he's trying, I think he's going to want to go meet Lincoln, which would be awesome, but make it all the harder for them to let him go. And that's using the fate system, which is loose and skills based and rolling pluses and negatives and neutrals on dice. But doing that with a group in person has been fun. My solos have been great. So I'm hooked all the way in, all the way in. But as you saw with Charioteer and Assault, still making time for some of that. Let's see, we got some folks in, and again, this will play later. So, and I haven't done a live in so long. I'm not surprised. I don't have a crowd like I usually do, but that's totally fine. So part of my other thing with going nuts was I started picking up other systems. First of all, my buddy Don Story, the RPGer, because he had taught Free League's game Alien at Gen Con, they gave him a set. And he's like, hey, I already ordered a set. It should be coming or whatever. And they're like, just give it a friend. So he gave me that. And the production value was so good. That was really what warmed me up to try that Twilight 2000. And now I've got Forbidden Lands and, of course, Blade Runner and Solaris and all of this. And their system is the Mutant Zero system is so good that you're just looking for 6s or above for a success for whatever you're trying to do. And so it's a very simple kind of system that's story or character forward, which is what I like. Now, on that note, what I've got sitting over here, then we'll get back to the book I'm reading, is the Merry Mushman put out a book called Knock. And let me set down their bestiary. This thick pulp type book is just packed with, look at these maps that are in here. See if I can turn to them. Hold on. So we will find these maps. There's a whole section I haven't gotten to yet. I'm trying to read it cover to cover. You can pop in wherever you want, but they've got this, it's map creator kind of thing that I want to read. And was it middle school or high school? Probably a little bit of both. Half my fun, I would have graph paper or just regular paper, and I was always drawing up dungeons and things, even though I wasn't as much into fantasy. Let me show you. There's these other ones that are just gorgeous. Yeah, look at this. This is kind of the stuff I was doing. So when I saw this, not knowing it was in there, I was like, oh my goodness. Now, I did not have these skills. Look at this guy. Man, I want to hang out with this dude and play some of his maps. But the cool thing with this is I could grab this. I don't think I have a PDF version of it, but I could scan that in and kind of use it as a mode of dropping the players in just kind of quickly as we're playing through something, because I'm getting ready to start a West Marches campaign. So I'll explain what that is. I learned about it myself from Trevor Duvall. He's got a show where he talks about it. I'll probably link that in the description later. But the one thing that's a bit of a problem for my role playing is I am busy. Not only do I have my whiskey show, I've got the board game RPG show. I've got a family with kids. I've got a full-time job that pulls me in on the weekend doing police stuff. And I've got a group that meets together live. And then I've got my solo games that I got to film. All fun, not complaining. I love all of it. I love my job, of course, the family, my hobbies of reading and playing and solo. But it's like seeing 20 pies and you want to eat them all, and I can't. But when I saw this West Marches idea, it's that you set for me, I think it's going to be every third or maybe the third Saturday of every month. Boom, that'll be my role-playing live West Marches campaign. That'll be. I've ordered, I'm forgetting what it's called, but it's like a hex toolkit. Comes with these big hexes, and they're in a bag. And I've got a table that the leaves come off, so I can leave it set up. And what the group will be doing is on that third Saturday of every month, they'll come over. Whoever comes over, it could be 2 people, or it might be 10 that day. 10 will be a little hard to deal with. I'm going to keep it a little small. I think I'm going to start with only 5 people, so hopefully we can get 2 to 5. But they'll come over, and part of it will be undiscovered country. They'll be moving from their base, which they're going to have to maintain and do some little things as well. But they'll move out and explore and pull tiles and decide as they move in, now where do they go? To this way, a new tile comes out. And using some of the stuff from Knock and some of the stuff from some different tables and charts I have and stuff, they will run into things. My idea currently is it will be in a fantasy level. I need to kind of develop a little bit more of that for myself. And that the land has been, no one's been going into it because it's been magic enchanted. But there's a lot of different types of magic out there. I plan on using some of the beautiful cards from my Mage Wars game, board game that's all about mages fighting and stuff. But that way zones could have X could be good or healing or positive things, or it could just be more of a nature thing, or maybe it's the vines are alive with some kind of living magical section or something, or it could be demonic or necromancer. So that allows that to happen in this world. But the key of this West Marches beyond that is that hopefully these players get hooked, and then they're already making sure they got that third Saturday earmarked. But even if they can't show up, the whole group at the end of a session always treks back to home base, whatever that is. And so as the group shows up the next month, it could be not the same folks, doesn't matter. They can go out and venture forth with this group and see what the progress was of the last adventure mission. And if they weren't there, they can look at it and wish they were there. And I want to use OSR, old school, or old school Renaissance. I've got to see which system, but there's some really nice, simple systems. I've played Into the Odd. Obviously, that's more horror, but they're quick. There's no, you don't have to worry about balancing everything. Matter of fact, folks are going to be unbalanced, and death could be there. If they make a bad decision, you run into some dragon and you're not strong enough to beat it, you better think of a different way to beat it, or how to beat feet and get out of there. Because they could all just whoop, but it's easy to make new characters. So hopefully they get attached to their characters. I love that myself. But if you make a mistake, you'll pay for it. And one thing I loved was on the back of this Knock book, they had a quote from Gary Gygax. The worthy GM never purposely kills players as PCs. He presents opportunities for the rash and unthinking players to do that all on their own. Yeah. So that's what I'm wanting to do in the future as this West marches. And I've already got the players lined up. I told them, hey, I need to get this toolkit. It was a Kickstarter, hasn't been made yet. I need to figure out which simple OSR system I'm going to use. But I've already got some players saying, can I bring my friend Tim? And I said, not yet, soon. But you get there, try a few of these, see if you like it, see what's going on. And then I'll start to expand. I said, because there's no way I want to start doing this and have 10 people show up. I'm not good enough to run that, first of all. But let me get a few of these done and see how they move and how this unfolds, this West marches. And then we can add more people. And my hope as well, I always have this secondary kind of layered hope, is that I can get a group of core folks that they're showing up every third Saturday and they're hooked. And I might be able to say, hey, you know what? Let's do something that's a little bit different, not West Marches, but you guys are in it. You guys are playing. You've got it. You're dedicated. What if we do, whatever, Forbidden Lands or Coriolis or Alien? And I know that they're already kind of into that mode. They're hooked. And it's not a fault. My TTP, my alternate timeline players, they wanted to come back after our last session the next week. They were like, yep, this is unbelievable, the next week. And then 2 days later, one of the guys said, hey, I can't. I can't. And another one's like, me neither. A family thing came up, sickness in the family. I was like, got it. So there's still those struggles happening, but that's all right. That's all part of it. So Let's see what else to talk about. Oh, on a cool note, so way back, I had a buddy of mine who I'll tell you this story. Dragonlance. I wasn't into fantasy, but he got me he picked me up the first in the Dragonlance trilogy by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. Now, funny side story. I righted this wrong, but I'm going to tell it here because it's entertaining. I was hooked on reading by my sixth grade teacher, Mr. Ribel. Just set the hook deep, and I became a voracious reader. And I didn't even care. I'd have buddies go, "Oh, you read?" "No, I love reading." "Oh, I can't believe you." "Well, I love it to death." And then they just figured that out. I didn't care what anybody said. I was hooked. Well, I had a buddy of mine who is now very successful, but he wanted me to read Dragonlance. He loved fantasy. I was like, "Nah, I'm going to get this." And we leave the bookstore. We're at this big mall down in Denver where I later end up working security at. We were just in high school. We were like 16. And all of a sudden he goes, "Here, I got you the first in the trilogy of Dragonlance." I was like, "What? You never went to the register?" He's like, "Yeah, I know." I was like, "Oh, what?" And I said, "Man, I don't know. We can't do that." And he's like, "Well, okay, I guess you can take it back." I said, "Man, if I thought they were hunting us. They're probably hunting us in the mall right now. And if we go back and we get caught coming back with the stolen item, oh." So I said, "Nope, we just got to bail. We got to get out of here." I literally thought we were being hunted. I'm sure they didn't even know it was taken. And he said, "Well, you can keep it or go back and pay for it later or whatever." And I was like, And I put it like in a drawer. And I was like, ugh. Well, a year went by and then I read it and I loved it. And I went and bought the other two. Later on, I ended up working at the mall. This is so goofy. I still felt so guilty. Rather than go in and pay for it or something, I snuck it back in. When I read, there's no damage to the book. It looks like it's pristine. It's unread. So I like hid it in my jacket. I felt like I was committing a crime and I was righting a wrong. I went in, they knew me there because I read all the time and I'm righting a wrong, but I felt like I was 16 and guilty again. I was now like 19. And I go to the area and I put it back on the shelf. And I think I even bought like one other book in the series or something, or, whatever. And I remember thinking, they're going to do their inventory and go, "What? How are we up one on this book?" On that note, there was a used bookstore way back in the day, and I bought several other books, and this was one of them. Used because it's a little bit damaged on the side. I would have never treated my books or bent the binding. But as I got into role playing and I remembered this, I looked in my shelf of shame, the books that I want to read, but I hadn't. And I had all three from the Time of the Twins or whatever, the twin trilogy, Legends. It's called Legends. And so I thought, you know what? Let me read that. Margaret Weiss was such a good writer, and boy, is she. Tracy Hickman designed like the realm. The Dragonlance series put the dragons back into D&D, so it wasn't just dungeons. So I'm a little more than halfway through, loving this. She's still a great writer, and I've got the trilogy, and I'm just enjoying kind of jumping back into the fantasy world. So it's a real nice connection back to my youthful leanings, even if I do have the memory of righting the wrong of The Shoplifter. Kevin, you stole that book. I righted that wrong though, Kevin, and they made many sales by that theft from me later because I bought multiple books from the series. So that is a little bit of where I've been, what I've been doing. Again, just to recap, I'm in my office again because my PC laptop crapped out. Didn't really crap out. The lock chain key thing from Microsoft suddenly missed an update or something and it locked me out. And I was angry, but I can't get it fixed. I got to go somewhere to get it fixed. And I thought, why am I not doing lives or vlogs? I can do it from my office. It doesn't need to be at that set because I haven't been setting up any interviews or anything like that. And I thought, come on, man, just go back to the office where I used to do these anyway. I'm right up close. The lighting's good. I can read everything now that I'm older and I got to be close. But that explains my RPG revival for a long-time board gamer. And I've had a couple commenters come in and say they're loving the watch of my progression back into role-playing games. Some of them are coming in as well. I don't watch Critical Role, nothing against it. I think they were just so far along, and I'd read somewhere that there's like 10,000 hours of video or something. I'm sure that's too much. It's probably just like 300 or something, but there's no way I can do that. But I was watching on Prime, is it Vox Machina? I think that's it. And it's great. I was like, this is awesome. There's no way Prime won't pick them up and let that series continue. And I could see it branching as well. So neat to see. I love that, the imagination coming to life. I really love that. I've always had, ever since I was a little kid playing with my plastic soldiers in a sand pit in the back of the house. I always could picture and put myself in places. So role playing's always been kind of fun for me, easy for me. Even the board games I played usually emphasized an element of that. And I don't know why I didn't stay with the role playing as much. I don't know. Some of it I think could still be, I was never as much into the fantasy side of it, but that has been solved. Now I've got several folks still in the room here. Anybody got any questions? Anybody got, they want to know anything in particular? I will be filming some stuff on Assault, the air and artillery expansion. Again, it won't be anything super detailed. It'll probably be 10 to 15 minutes showing some of the cards and how they work and how the system can expand. It's a really neat system for that. And Wolfgang, it's a like work of passion. So he's always updating on Twitter and stuff. So very cool. If not, where are we at? How long? See, I don't know where to look on here. It's been so long. Oh, 32 minutes. Well, we're sitting pretty good. Oh, let me show one other thing from the Merry Mushman that I got. And what I did was I ordered in some of the Nock books because I got their folklore bestiary. So the Merry Mushman, and it was a hardback. And the idea is that they've used some of these. This is a company out of France. I like their artwork, first of all. It's got this like, I don't know, kind of a trippy, I mean, look at these, what, eyeballs or what's going on here? But it's got this cool, like almost youthful kind of childlike art set in this trippy kind of fantasy world. This is volume 1. And what this does is bring some of these old fairy tales into a bestiary kind of system. And you can jump right in to this, to like an older system. What is it called? I'm forgetting what it's called, but it's almost like the original D&D. And so you can just jump right in, and they've got some, what is there? There's a map and a little mission here and some different areas. Oh, I can't find it, of course, but, and then you've got like the Wolf Warrior. Oh, come on. It was page 88. I'm going to go to it here. 88, I believe, was, yes, the Lair of the Shaggy Beast. So you can see there's this dungeon set up, and the front opening page I showed you opens up with you washing ashore right at the mouth. And then this allows me to run this, whether I was running it solo or running a group through it. And part of my idea was that as I'm running this West Marches, I wanted some of this feel, some of this like fairy tale feel to it. To give you another example, the Kobotur are these gnomes who are all about drinking their beer and really interesting liquors. Sounds like me and my whiskeys. And harvesting little mushrooms. So I wanted some things that were different and unique that could pop up on the West Marches campaign. I mean, look at this giant. So I guess, yeah, he's got little sheep there. The Tatoros are one-eyed ogre shepherds roaming wild hills and mountains of the Pyrenees. Well, I could see that showing up, and I'll learn about them and see what they are. But that's exactly what I was looking for my West Marches. Kind of weird, maybe even a little trippy every now and then. But again, the idea is that the zones they move into randomly, I won't even know because that'll be what's fun for me, could be something good or evil, necromancer type wise, or whatever. And then I can float in some of this folklore bestiary stuff as things that they see and have a choice. Do you move closer to that ogre? I don't know. What if he's lost a sheep? Is this going to be like a mama bear and you got too close to her cubs? Maybe you wouldn't want to mess that up. Or is this something where he sees you're bringing back and helping and you can gain something or some information? I love that. That's what I love. And what I really want is hopefully folks that weren't able to make it will be at the next one and then hear something and go, what? And they'll be like, it was unbelievable. And they'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed a segment, and I get a group that comes back again and again and again. So that is some of my plans, the RPG revival for a long time board gamer. The board games will continue. I've got at least 1,000 of them. And when we do a game night here at the house, I'll have them out. I'll feature. We're going to do a kids night where everybody's supposed to bring their kids. And I want to have a Knizia night. I love Knizia, he's my favorite designer. And I got a buddy that likes his games too. So my idea is I'll have, 5 or 6 of his games that are out. And when folks come over, we'll just get them started up with a different Knizia game. And then we can play through those throughout the night and folks can kind of pop around, and then I'll have ready-made teachers. Hey, I really loved Medici. Hey, anybody, I want to play this again. Let me get 3 or 4 players over here and I'll teach it to you guys. Great. I'm over teaching X or whatever. So that is some of what's going on. So DJ Meeple, great idea. Are we talking the West Marches? I wasn't paying attention when it popped up. Are we talking the different game nights? Got to be the West Marches, because when I saw the bestiary folklore and that art that's in here, I was like, that's what I need. I mean, look at this. The people of the holy city, and they've got this cool little, I haven't even read this, but they got this little map in there and stuff. West, yes. And I was like, oh, this is great. This is great. And then when I had Knock, which I picked up to come with it, that's my Valentine's bookmark that the wife gave me. Look at this. So, all right, I'm going to be on page 34. But look what this even comes with. This comes with this jacket cover that is its own zine. So check this out. This is like a little one-off. So this is the jacket cover for Knock. This, I don't know about a one-off. This is what Zaradagart's Mansion. I don't know what it is, French. But this is English in here. And I can run through this as needed, and they each have this little jacket cover. I didn't even know that. I was like, what's the deal with this weird jacket cover? And I was like, oh, and my wife was like, why are you so excited about that? And I was just because, I didn't know it was there. So I heard the very first Knock was very, very good. The first edition. I mean, look at this duels. I mean, I want to just jump around, jump around. I don't know if that's a bookmark or what we're dealing with there, but I mean, look at this, sewer geomorphs. What? Look at this. It's like Carcassonne, the game, the tiles. I was even thinking I might be able to use Carcassonne tiles for some stuff, like an old established city, especially if it's a priestly like city. That's just what Carcassonne looks like. But the stuff that's in here, I think I think is going to be a gold mine for West Marches. So, good looking book. Yeah, and it's got that pulp kind of feel to it. And the art is just cool. It's kind of this like mishmash. Yeah, see, I keep showing it. I just love it. I picked up two of them and I dropped what I was while I was reading Margaret Weiss's book, and then this showed up and I was like, huh. I went to read it. Oh, and they've got adult language in here. Why the F? Woo! D20 hooks. Why the F? But it tells you the full deal. It's a grown-up book. Did you enter the Goblin Caves? Why? Why? I won't show you that page. My aesthetic pathetic and yours. My aesthetic is pathetic and yours can be too. What is going on with this? I was just enamored. So if you haven't heard of Knock or the Merry Mushman, I'll put a link down to their page or their order page or whatever, because based on these alone, they've got a real cool cover that has like skulls all over it. But I think I'd looked around, maybe Geek Gamer, she had something on that. I think she said that one didn't hit her as well as this first one, but the artwork is just so cool. And these guys are doing such wild, innovative stuff that I think I'm going to pick it up, even if it's not to the level of awesomeness that this is, it'll still be great. It'll be great. All right. So I'll give a couple minutes. It is 41 minutes in. I will sign off at 45 minutes unless somebody has any questions that come in or ideas. If you haven't seen Me, Myself, and Die, Trevor Duvall's West Marches segment, go watch that. It is so cool. Awesome. Yep. DJ Meeples, he's definitely, or she's going to definitely, they will definitely going to pick it up. It is so cool. It is awesome. Trevor Duvall, I'm not so much into what he's currently doing now. He's doing like a miniatures game thing, which is fine. Just not quite my thing. I don't like measuring stuff out, how many inches away something is. But I know he does so much production type work. Whenever he starts his fourth season of the role playing, it'll be awesome. I also love how he's used different systems with the same, not always the same, but kind of a character from this one is a NPC and it becomes the main character in the second one. And off he goes. He's used Ironsworn. I'm blanking now. Shoot, and I know the other systems he's used as well. But what's he going to use for the fourth one? Because there's so many systems out there. And I've even got a gal that kept telling me, hey, I want to come over and do something. I want to game with you, role play. And her husband's like, yeah, not quite my thing, but I want to come too. And I said, I want to do this West Marches. You're in, but I'm not there yet. And she so wanted to do it that she went and got 5e D&D and just set up a group that she's GMing. I was like, awesome. I mean, she's great. And she's like, don't get me wrong, though. I still want to come to this. And I was like, you're in. You are in. And we make it the whole basement where I shoot normally. You've seen the whiskey set, and there's my board game set, and in the photo of the charioteer, that's my big table area where some games are above that. The whole basement's set up to do this. So we've had, what was the biggest we had? I think we had 32 people over here because I can handle like two tables with a coffee table that was purposely bought because you can sit underneath it and game. So technically I could have 3 games running upstairs and 4 games running downstairs easily. And I could break out a card table for some 2-player game if necessary. So my wife's like, but she loves gaming as well. So Lonnie Seidler, I've been loving your Blade Runner solo session. Well, thank you. Looking forward to trying a solo session myself. Yeah, check that Mythic emulator out. Thank you, Trevor Duvall, for kind of even showing me how that works. I still make mistakes there. I had a random event in the last Blade Runner, 2 of them, that I was supposed to go to this random event chart. and you roll on that. It'll tell you if it's going to affect an NPC positive, negative, or a player character positive, negative, or whatever. And I forgot to do that. I jumped right into the logic thing. It worked. I mean, it's not like it messes anything up, but for that random thing, that stuff that comes at you, I need to make sure I'm getting things right. It's a little hard when you're GMing, playing, and the producer and the filmer, and then someone's barking. My dog's barking upstairs, or the kids are yelling. So, but thank you. The joy from that was I was planning to jump into Death in Space, and I need to do another Into the Odd. I did this wacky Viking character with these two little people called the twins that hang out with them, and had so much fun with the weirdness. It's almost a horror genre. And then Blade Runner showed up, and I saw how it is more of a delve into the mind, and I was like, ooh, now you got Hack, my main character, who's tracking down a Nexus 8 that was supposed to have been retired, but he showed up on some video camera, and it quickly resolved that Hack mentally he's still in the state that if he can find this Nexus 8, Tyson, he'll retire him. But this Tyson character, from what Hack's learned, is a really good person, should I say? And I can already tell at what point does Tyson do whatever a former Blade Runner already did, which was report him retired when he doesn't. Or does the mystery, using the Mythic emulator, there's a mystery thing that I'm using, have him find Tyson before he's made the ethical switch that these Nexus 8s are living beings, and he just retires him? And I don't know the answer to that. If he found him right now, I think he would retire him quickly, or try to. Who knows? He can get killed while he's trying to do it. Or does his humanity come through, and his struggle with his wife being gone, presumed dead, but wanted for crime, and him considering himself married still, and getting into his whiskey and talking to her. And it's just been so interesting, sometimes dark, sometimes sad, and then a little bit of action, but it's not a fight game. But well, thanks, Lonnie. I can't wait. I've got to film more. I've got to find time to get some more filmed, which I'm good. I just put one out on Friday, so I try to get them out about every 10 days. Every 10 days, I'll try to put one out, because I want to know where it's going to next. That is a fun thing. It's not like I feel the grind. Oh, I got to go play. No, I'm like, I need to know. I mean, I don't know where he goes next. He's got a few threads to track down. I'm thinking, you'll get a little insight, I'm thinking he's going to want to run down that poet. Dot, the poet named Dot. She's key, obviously, to that underground organization that Tyson's working with. So I think he's going to get with her, but we'll see. So, all right. No other questions have come in. We're over the line. We're over my self-imposed time limit of 45. So we'll leave that there. That way it's more enticing for people to come watch. I'll probably be on this off my Mac here for a while. It works just fine. My sound's good. And it's actually a little more quiet because I'm in my office rather than some of the sounds that will travel down the stairs when I'm on my like family room set. So it's working pretty darn good. Thank you, everybody that's tuned in. Thank you for those that are tuning in much later. I haven't done a live in a while, so I knew it would catch some people off guard. Oh, wait, hold on. Chief's putting out a live. So we're going to wrap it up. I'll point out here, you can see what this is on my hat is Edelweiss. Their Wolfgang sent me an Edelweiss pin that a reserve unit in, I think, the town he lives near, which he lives up in the mountains, wears on their uniform. And he let me know that picking real wild Edelweiss in Germany is a crime. I was like, oh, glad you told me that. If I ever went there and I was above the tree line, baby, I would have picked some. No, I probably wouldn't have, but now I have my own Edelweiss. Thank you. Thank you, Wolfgang. All right. See you guys later. We are